guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Worry No the Carry Last TV. So guys, in today's video I will be leaving for you guys how I will be watching it together with you guys. But before then, if you know you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell. Okay guys, see you guys on my next video. Bye bye.
Again, the purpose of this event is to try to make sure that the Congress of the United States, the administration of this country, our friends and allies around the world, and not least, of course, people of goodwill in this country and elsewhere, are on notice that Nigeria is at risk of disastrous collapse, that the forces that we've just been talking about are in the process of taking down a country that is the most populous in Africa, with horrific implications, not just for the immediate vicinity, the Lake Chad region as it's known, but for that continent and almost certainly others beyond. Congressman Wolf mentioned Bono, talking about a catastrophe that would make what has happened to Europe in the past few years, as a relatively small number of people migrated there with unbelievably chaotic consequences, look like a day at the beach by comparison. We're on notice. And the question is, do we have to wait until this horror is upon us before something is done about it? Or do we take steps now to try to prevent that? And I don't think any of us is saying that this is a panacea. But the appointment of the appropriate individual with the requisite authority. I just wanted to underscore what Congressman Wolf said about having the President of the United States essentially personally empowering Senator Danforth to lead the effort on behalf of our country to alleviate that situation. That has to be done again, and it has to be an empowering of a person with the stature and the capabilities needed to do two really vital things. One is to pull together the government agencies that have responsibility for pieces of a problem like Nigeria. The Defense Department, as well as, of course, the State Department, USAID, the UN mission of the United States, the National Security Council, and others, to come together with a common, appropriate, and much needed policy approach. And then secondly, at least as importantly, to be able authoritatively to represent what that approach is to the government of Nigeria. So they know who they're dealing with. They know that this is in fact the policy, and they can't go, looking for people who will provide some sort of alternative that might not require as much of them. So it's those two vitally important things that have to be done. And on behalf of, again, the Save the Persecuted Christians Coalition and team, I just want to say I think this is a moment of truth, a moment when we will find a difference being made by an administration that is about making a difference on behalf of religious freedom and those who are being denied it around the world. And let me just take a moment to say, as bad as this situation is, it is just one of the areas in the world in which particularly Christians are suffering. By some estimates, it's as small a number as 215 million. Christians being brutally persecuted. By others, it's as high as 500,000. 500 million. This is on our watch. It is unconscionable. It must be challenged, contested, and if possible, stopped. And that's what this coalition is about. And I pray that we will be able, with the help of people like Congressman Estes and Congressman Wolf and the Archbishop and our coalition and countless others, to see this problem sorted by the appointment at the earliest possible moment, preferably by the end of this year, because these elections are approaching, of an individual with the requisite authority of the President of the United States and the assignment of making both the U.S. government policy coherent and clear and effective, and communicating that, again, authoritatively to the government of Nigeria, who in the end is ultimately responsible for preventing this catastrophe.
The president would be meeting after receiving the American Secretary of State at the presidential villa upon his return from an official trip. The group, under the aegis of highly respected Igbo greats, is led by First Republic parliamentarian and former Minister of Aviation, Chief Mbadzulike Amechi. The situation in the southeast, which he describes as painful and pathetic, is an increasing concern, he laments to the president. He is asking that the president considers a political rather than military solution to the situation and release the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mr. Namdi Kanu, to him to save businesses and the education sector from utter collapse in the region. He assures that he would exert control over the IPOB leader as a highly respected man in Igbo land. Having heard the submissions, the president admits that making a decision is difficult, but he would consider the group's request. According to a statement released by the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, the president says that the group has made an extremely difficult demand on him as leader of the country. In his words, the implication of your request is very serious. In the last 6 years, since I became president, nobody would say I have confronted or interfered in the work of the judiciary. God has spared you and given you a clear head at this age with very sharp memory. A lot of people half your age are confused already, but the demand you have made is heavy. I will consider it. It would be recalled that last month, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, had also alluded to a flexible stance on the matter when he stated that the federal government is open to all kinds of considerations, including a political solution as part of efforts to resolve the crisis surrounding separatist agitations in the southeast and the southwest parts of the country. It is expected that more reactions will trail this consideration, which is the first openly made by the president.